The Denzel Mims playing with the threes and playing with the twos, it's nothing. It doesn't mean a thing. He's not getting cut. I'm telling you. I am telling you right now, Denzel Mims is not getting cut this year. It's not happening. Do I have any inside track information? No. I'm just telling you because I have common sense. But let me tell you something. He proved without a doubt that he can play in the NFL. No doubt in my mind. And the coaches know that too. Guess what? They're making you earn it. I, being in Ohio, decided, hey, why don't we contact the Hall of Fame and see if we can't hang out with those folks for a few minutes? And guess what? They said yes. They let me in there, and they gave me really a red carpet welcome, man. It was extra special. I'm putting a full video out on Jetnation YouTube page, and we're going to have all kinds of little tidbits, but I want to show you what that looked like a little bit, man. As you guys know, we have a few guys in the Hall of Fame. We have the great Joe Namath and Don Maynard. We also have Kevin Mawai, Curtis Martin, and then we did a bunch of backdoor guys, kind of like what we're doing with Alan Faneca this year. Guys that their whole career wasn't Jets, or the majority of their career wasn't with the Jets, but they are Jets included. So what's up, everybody? Are you trying to tell me that I'm still not supposed to be excited about this season? Is that what I'm gathering? Is this real? As bad as the news is, we have to talk. We have to get this done. And the thing is, it's such a big deal, and I understand that I'm just as sad as everybody else that I had to bring in some help. I have to bring in our expert on certain items of interest, and we're going to bring him on right now. I want you to say hello for this evening to a very good friend of ours, Mr. NYJ today. John himself is coming in. 1, 2, 3, boom. There he is. What's happening, buddy? Going? Are you devastated too? What's going on?
It feels like a kick in the nuts. It hurts.
Yeah.
Feels bad. And it definitely impacts the team, but the season's not over, and it's kind of like you said, there's still a ton to look forward to. So that's how I see it.
Kick in the nuts. I have to say that's probably the best way that I've heard it described. It's not the end of the world, but it's definitely not good. And when look, like how many times I imagine you've been kicked in the nuts, right, in your life?
A couple of times. It does feel awful.
You know, it's interesting to me because I wish there was like a cutoff age that stopped hurting. Like just, like why? You know what I mean? Like, why does it still do that to us? But yeah, there was a time in my life when that happened a lot more often than it does now, thankfully. But it gives you that similar sick stomach feeling. Nobody wanted to hear that Carl Lawson, of all people, is not going to be with us at all. Not 2 to 5 weeks, not half the season. He's gone. So it's as if we never signed him. He's not with us this entire year. And that is a complete bummer, especially when we get CJ Mosley back. It does have a feel that we can't have nice things, though, doesn't it? Doesn't it start to make you think that? Any thoughts like that running through your brain?
Yeah, so they just signed him and they gave him a massive contract, and it felt like for the first time in a very, very long time, it was like, okay, we got our edge. And I was talking about it earlier on my channel. It's been over 20 years, or not over 20 years, I apologize. It's been close to 20 years since we let the Predator walk, since we traded him away. John Abraham, and he's legitimately the best pass rusher this team has had since they let him go. And it felt like we were finally getting that presence back on our defense. And when I think about, and what I had been thinking about this whole offseason is once we had that edge and you combo that with the interior rush that we were going to be able to put on the field with Quinnen Williams, Sheldon Rankins, it was going to cause a lot of headaches, I think, for offensive coaches, for the offensive lines to block that. So that's the part that really hurts, is just the loss of that potential. It's still there because we do have other edge rushers. It's just not as clear cut, I think.
Yeah. And it's interesting, man. It's like, this was the first year, dovetailing with what you just said, it was the first year that we weren't like depending on these young guys, the Bryce Huffs, the Jabari Zunigas, who also can't seem to stay healthy. Obviously like Hamilcar Rashid, another undrafted free agent, which is what Bryce Huff is. Like, we're very used to having to depend on that crop of people to make some miracle happen. This was the first year in a long time, like you just pointed out, that we had a guy that was, for all intents and purposes, primed to be that guy. And then the other guys were going to be accents. We hope that they develop into some supporting role. Now we're right back to, hey, well, we have Bryce Huff and Hamilcar Rashid. He was a gem. So it is tough. Now, I want to say hello to some people, but I wanted to ask you, we'll segue this right into the idea of joint practices. I got some DMs today, some quite fiery about, they knew this was all going to happen. They knew it 3 months ago when they announced. So I wanted to get your opinion on the idea of joint practices and everything. But I want to say hello to, obviously, Gitmo Bob, who I just put a very good point up there. And thank you, Bob. Bob's an eternal optimist, as grumpy as he can be. He seems like an optimistic fella. We got Ali from Official New York Jets Fans in the house. What's up, Ali? Thanks for hanging out with us. Jets Life 45. Nick Hunter's here. Dave Miller. E-Rock's back. We got Curly Norman, Rusty Spooner, Joseph Schwert. All the guys are here. Braden's here. Braden Bethwaite, Jay-Z, New York Jets Tales. It's good to see you guys, man. Slaugo. I'm really happy that you guys found the gumption to come and hang, man. This is the kind of thing where you want to pull your blanket over half of your face and go, I can't have nice things. So you're in danger. So I'm happy that you came out and you at least came with us. We're going to get through this. I guarantee by the end of this stream, we're going to at least feel a little bit better. And that's all we can do for today. So Eric Craig Holton's here. Frankie from Flatbush. I really do appreciate it, guys. You guys are the best. Justin Jets, Submission 72. And I see you all, and I appreciate it. So Jeremy Cravat, what's up, buddy? And so as far as the joint practices, somebody I actually got like 3 or 4 DMs today, and all 4 of them said this was a bad idea about the joint practice. And when just a couple days ago, we were talking about all the boatloads of benefit, especially Zach Wilson going with a guy like Aaron Rodgers and having that time up there. So what are your thoughts? Do you think that the joint practice is what's to blame for this, or where do you reside with all this?
So the NFLPA only allows a certain number of like padded hitting practices. Like you can't go beyond that number. It's not allowed. And so the way this would work is they would take away some of their individual private practices where they would be padded and replace those with padded practices versus a team. And so do I think that it ultimately cause more injury than we would have in a normal practice? Not necessarily, no. And I don't think that it outweigh, like, the risk of, injury in these practices far outweighs the importance of being prepared for the season. This is a really, really young team. I believe it's the 3rd youngest football team in the National Football League.
Crazy.
It is extremely crazy, and it's crazy to think that by taking away opportunities like this, the learning that can take place, the development that can take place. And honestly, man, like alone, Zach Wilson being able to buddy with Aaron Rodgers for 2 days. It's 2 days, right? They did 2 practices.
This is the second practice. And then tomorrow, today's Friday, right? Yeah. So tomorrow we have the actual preseason game.
Today's Thursday. It's your Thursday show.
Today's Thursday. It is.
Yeah.
That's why I don't know it. So is it tomorrow the game? I don't know what's going on.
No. Tomorrow. So I'm not sure if they practice tomorrow, but they do play on Saturday. You're on the money with that one.
All right.
But
there's at least
I'll say this.
Half right.
Yeah. So I'll say this. That opportunity alone is worth it for our young quarterback and our young team to get to play with a Super Bowl caliber franchise and just a veteran team.
Yeah. I think I agree with you. And I look, I will give credence to the gripe that maybe the joint practice had something to do with this. Like, I could see guys maybe wanting to show up, and show out a little bit, like kind of show them, hey man, I'm the man over here. And I get all that. And that might not happen, when you're practicing with your guys that you've been practicing with all training camp and everything. So I do get that. But I would say, I think I agree with you that the potential benefit of having Zach Wilson up there with Aaron Rodgers for a couple of days, getting to see another defense for a long period of time, not just 2 series, which is probably, he's going to play a quarter. So he's getting to like be up there and mingle and hang out and like it's relaxed. I think the benefit of that probably outweighs the potential of injuries. Like Nick Chaplin just said, and I got your comment up there right now. He said, it's a violent effing sport, man. Shit happens. And that's the sad part about it. I wish it didn't happen to us so much. But up until this point, we've been pretty good. And I think it was Submission 72 or Rusty Spooner. He said, no more saying, thank God we don't have injuries. I agree. I'm not saying anything anymore ever. I want you to know that. I started to talk like that. I'm like, hey man, it's been pretty good. I'm like, I'm done. I can't. So I think I agree with you. You guys in the chat, let us know. I'm going to look at his super chat from Scott Wilson real quick. But what do you guys think? Do you think the joint practice with the Packers is to blame for this? Do you think we shouldn't do it against the Eagles? What are your thoughts with all this stuff? So, Scott, thank you for the super chat. A big takeaway from Salah's messaging has been what we look like through adversity. Our GM and coaching staff have built a culture to withstand this. Very interesting, and I like that spin. Now, I did get another DM who said, welp, Salah wanted adversity. Like, it's just funny. We're a funny bunch. We are. It's like, it's like, no. I will say this, and then I'll throw it to you and see what you think about that.
Sure.
The adversity thing, like real coaches like Salah, this is what he dealt with last year. Don't forget, in just the Jets game alone, he lost Nick Bosa and Solomon. Who was
Thomas?
What the hell was Thomas? Right. I was saying Solomon Wilcox. That's like
it's all
good. So Solomon Thomas, he lost them in 2 successive plays. And the next play after that was a sack on our quarterback. So he lost his two pretty much best pass rushers on the field in 2 plays. And then the third play, there was a sack. Salah was able to keep them. He had a rash of injuries. The reason that he was really so highly regarded this year was his ability to weather those injuries and keep them as a top 5 defense. So this is kind of what we're looking at with him. It's like, okay, buddy, we're looking to you. Like, do you feel like Salah's prepared for this? Do you think he's gonna crumble under the weight, or how do you look at this for Salah?
I definitely don't see him crumbling under the weight of it all. No. So I looked at the roster, and I have it in front of me here, so I'm going to cheat a little bit. But we've got Ronald Blair from the 49ers. We also have Jonathan Franklin Myers, who can play a little bit of both. I still think he can kind of go in between and also on the edge. Bryce Huff, who's looking very good, up and coming guy. Hamilcar Rashed, as you mentioned. And then it kind of thins out. We have Jabari Zuniga, and that's pretty much it. So my thing is like, if he's going to get the most out of these guys, like the young ones specifically, then I think we're good. And I think he's going to be just fine. It's more or less, what will he do with these really young kids who don't have a lot of experience? And honestly, we need them to step up like immediately. Yeah. And if he can get them to play just an ounce above, what another coach would get them to play, that's worth it. And that's a huge win, I think, for the team.
Yeah. Now, you know what? Think about this too. Was our we were 24 hours ago, we were talking about our defensive line being so good that the deficiencies in our cornerback group were going to be covered up. It was Carl Lawson the entire team. Like, is it now like now there's no pass rush? Now the defensive line is in big trouble. Now that means that the young cornerbacks like Eccles or Michael Carter II, whoever the hell we're going to have back there, they're in trouble too. So now it's top, bottom three defense. Did we just do that with one injury? Do you think that's real? Like, what are we looking at here?
I'll try to go on the other side, the dark side here for a second. I do think that there is a significant, obvious drop-off in the edge production after losing him. This is a top 5 pressure and top 5 hits on the quarterback guy from last year, and that's not replaceable. So does it impact the young secondary? I think it might a little bit. I think that's fair to say. And anybody who's feeling like I've read a couple of the comments as we've been talking, people are putting the word sick and, just upset, feeling really bad. I think it's fair. I think it's fair to feel that way. And again, this is very fresh. There's no wound that hurts more than a fresh wound. So I think that, over the next few weeks, we need to see how Saleh responds, how Joe Douglas responds, and just kind of take it day by day. But it is a concern. I think it's fair to be concerned about the edge not producing like we kind of had hoped.
Yeah, interesting. It's really something, though, that one player, and I agree with you, it's hard to replace that kind of production. We don't know what the young guys are going to bring, but chances are it's not going to be that. You know what I mean? Like, chances are, man. But it is interesting how the whole thing kind of crumbles. Or potentially crumbles based on that one pillar coming down. It's honestly, it's almost like maybe we shouldn't have put all so many eggs in one basket. But it's first year of a rebuild and the whole thing and all that. So I do get it. So we have another super chat, and then I want to get to these other comments. I see your comments in there, guys. Oh, I just lost it. Where'd it go? Okay. So E-Rock, thank you, my friend. Thank you for the super chat. Rodgers sounded like he gave Wilson a lot of good insight. Did you guys see what Romo was saying about Wilson? Called him the next Dan Marino. I actually didn't see that. You're nodding your head. Did you see that comment?
I did. Yeah, it was like about a half an hour before I came on here. I saw it, and I don't know if he said he was the next Marino, but he said that he has God-given traits, and he said that it kind of reminded him of Marino. Maybe he did say the next Marino. I'm not even exactly sure. I won't say he didn't, but he did say that Wilson was a rare breed, and he can do things that a lot of guys can't do. And he didn't say it specifically, but he has to be talking about the release and the ability to get the ball out quickly. That's the only thing that I could see that would make sense to connect him to Marino, because that was what obviously he was known for.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, the connection was pretty interesting. We know Romo's done stuff like that with Darnold. He did that with Darnold. He was a big supporter of Darnold when he came out. He didn't make anything quite that grand of a connection. Like, he didn't really specifically note a player when he talked about Darnold. But he was pretty high on Darnold as well. He
was very supportive of Darnold too. Even in some of the tough times, he kind of kept that. He didn't fall off of it like a lot of people did. Like a lot of people abandoned ship. They said, oh, this guy, he always had those problems, when there was quite a few. There was a long list of supporters for Sam Darnold, and they kind of left. I thought Tony Romo stayed around a lot longer and probably is still supportive of Darnold. And that'll bring us to something else I want to talk about. And I know you know what it is that Darnold said this week too, which is kind of funny if you look at it through the right lens. But E-Rod, thank you. I think my honest take is that Wilson hanging out with Aaron Rodgers is a good thing. Unless Aaron Rodgers is such a flat-out piece of garbage that he's giving him the worst advice in the world, like he thinks it's funny, which I guess is possible, but I doubt it. You know what I mean? I doubt it. He doesn't have that reputation. And the thing is, don't forget, Mike LaFleur's older brother is his coach, and Aaron Rodgers went as far as to say he sat with LaFleur and talked to him about 2-minute offense and stuff that he's come up with, and I think it's a positive, man. It's probably one of the greatest positives to come out of this is how it can affect Zach Wilson with hanging out, having some real quality time with a guy like Aaron Rodgers.
Want to add one more thing? No, you're good. Go ahead. Oh, you good? Okay.
Well, no, I was going to say, and next week we get it again with Jalen Hurts.
Same thing. No difference at all.
That's right. It's great. It's going to be positive.
I was just going to add the quote, and maybe people heard it or not. Zach
Yeah.
Wilson talked about how he was going to watch the tape of Aaron Rodgers playing against the Jets defense because he wanted to see how he was
Right.
attacking them. I love that. That's fantastic. And I think that's another positive that comes from doing this, because he wasn't going to get that opportunity if this didn't happen. So, I mean, I guess he technically would have in the preseason game, but it's super cool to be able to see that.
It's totally different, man. It's an elongated time frame. I mean, again, you're looking at the starters in a preseason game. This is the second. I don't know how they're really going to, how they're going to change what they do with the starters in a 3-game preseason as opposed to a 4-game preseason. But at best, you're looking at a quarter or a quarter and a half kind of a thing. A half at the most, I'd say. So having 2 days before that, I think really gives you an opportunity to see a lot more than you would if, just playing the preseason game. So I agree. And I appreciate you bringing that comment out. I heard that one as well. So cool. I think that's the one thing I like most about Zach Wilson is that, and you've heard it from all different angles, like as far as the guy wanting to be good, like he's a sponge. He's constantly trying to learn and find creative ways to get better. So we have that. I mean, we can see the natural talent, like we were talking about with Tony Romo commenting on, but it's the etiquette, it's the ethic, it's all those things, and the way that he holds himself and the craving of information, I think, is what can separate a guy with talent from becoming a guy like maybe Jamarcus Russell or something like that. All the talent in the world, man. You know what I mean? All the talent in the world. So let me get to, I got another super chat that came in. Let me see where it is. There it is. Tyler T. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. I appreciate super chat. Hey, guys, please think about joining Greenbean's Patreon. Oh, look at this. He works his ass off to get us content and has to jump through hoops most people don't. Yes. Been having a great conversation on there. Support our guy, which I do agree. We're having a great conversation with Braden as well on the Patreon. It's growing slowly, but yes, if you guys are interested in becoming supporters of the Patreon, we have 3 tiers currently. It's in the description of this very video. It's the first thing you'll see. Nice and easy, and there are benefits to each tier, and it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you, Tyler. I appreciate that, man. Little service announcement. And Tyler's got some stuff coming for you guys too. We're holding it back right now, but Tyler's about to blow up, I think. He's got a lot of talent, that Tyler T. So thanks, Tyler. I appreciate it. So let's get to some comments here. And guys, I do appreciate the comments. We try to get to as many as we can. This is the thing. I'm obviously going to be talking on screen, but we try to look at as many comments as we can. If you do want your comment to be guaranteed to see it, I'm going to read every super chat. So that's something. And obviously, I greatly appreciate that as well. So let's see. So Justin Jett says, to be fair, I don't think edge is a strong group for us. Interior D is strong. Edge was kind of Lawson and the crew. With him gone, it's now a meh edge group. And this kind of goes with what you're saying. I mean, who do you think the candidates are to step up? Obviously, the first name off everybody's mouth these days is Bryce Huff. But who else do you think we could realistically hope is going to come out of the darkness for us now that Lawson's out of the group?
I got really mad at fans and people in general that wanted to write Jabari Zuniga off. That was during the offseason. He's been very, very quiet as of, this, preseason. I'm just like crossing my fingers over here, hoping that he can just take any kind of step forward and say, I'm here. Because right now it feels like he's not there. And you're right.
Well,
Bryce Huff is the guy right now that everybody's kind of, tossing their, their flowers at his feet. We're hoping that he can do what, based on last year and what he's been doing this offseason and preseason, it's looking like he's definitely trending upwards. And so my hope is that with him and the interior rushers that we have, and we have several, I'm hoping that he can kind of get going. Jonathan Franklin Myers, again, I still think he's one of those guys that can flip-flop. He can play interior and on the edge.
Yeah, he can. Absolutely.
I think he is another one that we have to count on. But I do agree that with what Justin Jett said, it's a concerning group because It's a couple of undrafted free agents, even though we're pretty high on Bryce Huff. He's an undrafted guy. So is Hamilcar. Jabari is a 3rd-round pick from 2020 that just has not done anything yet. So
yeah. Well, you know what sucks about Zuniga, and I think you remember, I'm really high on Jabari Zuniga as well, especially going down to a 4-down lineman. I think it's exactly what he needed in order to have a realistic shot at becoming something. The problem in college was his injury history, and he has been nothing but injured since he got into the NFL. That's what's going on with him now. I think he had 4 plays, and 2 of them he created pressure on 2 plays against the Giants. So it was there. He didn't get a sack. He didn't, he wasn't causing havoc, but it was there. And then all of a sudden he was gone, and that's exactly what it is again. So they're talking about a couple of weeks with him. And it's a shame, because how the hell can the guy possibly pick up any momentum when he's coming in for a handful of plays and then sitting out for weeks at a time? So that's a good one, though. I think he's got the talent, man. I'm a big Jabari Zuniga supporter, and you never know. You never know. First couple of years, guys have a tough go, and then they settle in. Who knows? But that's a good one. I wanted to get to another one. I think you're onto something, though, Justin. I think that's a good point, and it's a fair assessment. I think we were really excited about Lawson with the balance of the interior line. Now we just have that interior, and we're trying to figure it out on the edge. Let's see. Rusty Spooner says, Chandler Jones wants out of Arizona. I hope we don't sign him because we'll have to trade draft picks. Damn it. So what do you think? Any interest in throwing a pick over to the Cardinals?
No, because it would cost too much, I think, and we're just not in the position. He's an older guy. I don't know his age off the top of my head. I could probably just quickly look it up, but I would guess he's probably at least 30 years old. And I think, what are you looking at here for trading him? At the worst, the cheapest you're probably looking at is like a 3rd-round pick and change. I don't even know if he'd go for that. He'd probably go for a 2nd, right? Like, at least.
No, I think it'd be a little bit less than that. Because he's old. Yeah, third would be the top, I think. But I think third,
fair enough.
I was thinking 3rd, 4th is what I was thinking. Yeah.
I wouldn't hate it, but I just don't know if that's something that Joe Douglas is going to do.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like a guy who wants to give up picks for old men. It just doesn't seem like his gig. You know what I mean? So I would agree with you, Rusty Spooner. It's one of those things. So Garrett Ham, this is a good point too. He says it's just a bad take. It sucks losing Lawson. However, this team is coached by Robert Saleh. I just don't get the woe is my team. Believe in the staff. Now it's hard. It is. It's hard. But we've seen our fan base, man. Our fan base goes from this guy's a Hall of Famer to this guy needs to be cut in a matter of one practice. I mean, we just saw it this week with Mekhi Becton. I mean, there was entire threads on Jetnation, and I saw threads on Twitter like, this guy needs to go. He's a bust. I mean, the word bust. And just last week, they were talking about iron sharpens iron and fucking Hall of Fame. So I think it's tough for a fan base that's been knocked around. But the truth is I think I actually agree with you, man. It's like this stuff is happening all across the NFL, and it sucks. But I think we happen to have a coach that's actually known for getting past this stuff, which is good. Let's take a minute and say, all right, well, let's see what he does, because this more than likely wasn't our Super Bowl year. I know some people are talking like that, but it's more than likely not it. We're not done. And you can clearly see it looking at the team. We're not done. So It's just one of those things. So any thoughts on the woe is me attitude? You want to put your neck out there?
I think that, Garrett and I went back and forth. We had a little tiff online, and I'm more than welcome to work that one out with him. But I think the idea here is like, it's one of those things where you can see how bad off the edge position could be now that he's gone. And so I don't know if it's necessarily like a woe is me situation as much as it is like fans are realizing like, damn, like we're in a bad spot potentially. Again, if some of these guys don't step up, Zuniga, a guy from the last draft, he hasn't done anything yet. He hasn't stayed healthy. He's been injured like he was in college. If that doesn't work out, that's not good. And then we've got, and I know I might be saying his name wrong, so I do apologize, but Hamilcar, how do you pronounce his first name?
It's Hamilcar, and his last name is pronounced Rashid.
Rashid. Okay, perfect. So Hamilcar Rashid, undrafted dude who was a beast, not last year, but the year prior. It was a monster. I think he had like 14 sacks.
16.
So again, 16. So even more.
Yeah.
If he can live up to what we're hoping he can do, that's great. But again, undrafted kid, I think that's the mindset that a lot of Jets fans are jumping to because there's a significant drop off, and that's where I think it comes from.
Yeah. And look, right, this is one of those situations where it doesn't have to be either or. You can be upset that a guy that we were all very excited about isn't going to be there for us. I mean, and I'll be real straight. He was top 3 for me, like the guys I was most excited to see on the field for the New York Jets. And then we got the one Jets drive, and he's like, you got to be crazy to do this. And we saw his leadership with the guys. You can't have a tired day. Like, all that's going to be gone. Now, he might probably be on the field, like he'll be involved in some way, but a lot of times when they're injured, they just don't, they're gone. You know what I mean? So it's unfortunate no matter how you slice it, but I agree. It's like, all right, well, let's see what we do with this. And there's still time for other guys to realize the opportunity right now and see.
There's a human element to this. This really sucks for Carl. If you put yourself like in his shoes here, this is a devastating injury. This is not the same type of injury as like a torn ACL, even though that's significant. This is a big deal. This is a kid too. He's like 26 years old, I think, right? Or 25?
Yeah. 25, I think he is. Yeah. So I know, right? It's a bummer. You see how hard that guy's working, man. That guy's working. We're not working. Yep. We're just sitting here on the computer talking about it. Talking about how hard he works.
Yep.
I was so excited by how hard this guy works. I wanted to watch him. I wanted to sit here and watch him fight. But hey, I want to make a correction. It is 14. You were correct. It's 14 sacks in 2019. He also had 22.5 tackles for a loss in the same season. So those numbers actually got Josh Allen drafted in the top 10 2 years ago. So let's not forget that. So but he had a completely different 2020. But the potential's there. So you never know. When he did get a sack against the Giants, albeit completely unblocked, but hey, you don't want to block me, I'm going to sack your quarterback, and that's what you want to see. So you can't blame him for somebody not blocking him.
No.
So let's see what else we got here. Did I do that one? I think, yeah. Okay, hold on. Yeah, well, okay. Oops. Yeah, so Revis tore his ACL. This would be Revis tearing his ACL in 2010. That's interesting, Stephen Engel. Now, I don't know because that team was primed. That team was ready to go. We just went into the AFC Championship game the year before. Revis had the best year of a cornerback maybe in NFL history. So I think it's not quite that, but I get your point on its importance. Any thoughts on that one? Do you think it's that big, or you think it's a little bit less than that, this Carl Lawson thing?
So here's the simplest way to look at this. Carl Lawson, we already described it. It's a kick in the nuts. It's terrible. It sucks. It sucks for him. It sucks for us. It sucks for our pass rush. But at the end of the day, I never really saw this as we're definitely not going to the Super Bowl. Like, there's no way about it. Okay. Like, we're not going to be competing for that. And in all likelihood, I saw us going somewhere between 6 to 8 wins this season. You could argue, of course, they could win more than 8 games, no doubt. But it was not ultimately what we were expecting the year Revis got hurt. And I'm not actually sure if that's the correct year. I don't know if he was injured.
No, what he's saying is this is the hit. And correct me if I'm wrong. He's saying this Carl Lawson going down now is like Revis getting an ACL tear in 2010.
It definitely reminds you. It reminds you of those type of injuries, no doubt. It actually made me think of Vinny Testaverde '99.
Totally,
that's what it made me think of.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a tough
circumstance.
One, man. Yeah, but dude, game 1 of the year, we had the team. We were supposed to win it all, and we didn't make it one game. Mm-hmm. So it is frustrating, and I see Jeremy Cravat has a point in there. He says. Let's see what he says on this note. He says, I don't know about other teams. It just feels like CJ in 19, Lawson now, Vinny in 99, Pennington. It's frustrating. And it is frustrating, but I can tell you honestly that other teams have injuries and lots of them. It's just that we crumble to pieces when it happens traditionally. A lot of other organizations, a la the Ravens, the Steelers, the Niners, generally speaking, they have more infrastructure in place and coaches that are better equipped to deal with it. We haven't done well with our leadership roles. Just take a look at Mike McCagnon and Bruce Coslett and all and on and on and on. Adam Gase. It's just, I mean, these guys, they're weak at best. And so that's why when these injuries happen, we're not able to bounce back at all. It's over. Other teams they're a little bit more equipped to do that because they have better infrastructure. They have better development in place. Now we're at the earlier stage of that. I don't think it's all done. I mean, we're just started, but yeah, I think as we move forward, hopefully this organization is going to be able to bounce back from things like this. Next guy up mentality actually being real. So let's move away from this. I want you to know, guys, I'm with you. You know, obviously we're all Jets fans. We're all feeling the same thing. But the thing that I won't allow it to do is get you so upset that you're talking about not watching, you're selling your season tickets, all those comments that we see all over the place every time this stuff happens. Like, just is what it is. Let's watch the team. It's about Zach Wilson, man. That's Zach Wilson, Elijah Moore, Elijah Vera Tucker, Mims, all injured, by the way. So we'll see them come back. They have minor injuries day to day. It's fine. And we're going to light up the league. We're going to see some good foundational stuff happen this year, in my opinion. And it's Rashid. Jimmy wants me to notice him. I know. So it's actually Hamilka. It's not
Hamilka.
The Hamilka Rashid, not Rashid.
There you go.
Gotcha, Jimmy. I see you up there.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Yeah, you got it. Zuniga just hit the lottery. Well, he's got to get uninjured. That's been the problem with him. I saw in a comment that said Zuniga's a bust. I don't know what that pick was about. Like, let me tell you, I did work on Zuniga and I liked the pick. Now, again, I thought probably it should have been like the early 4th round pick, but I think he was our second, third. Aston Davis was our first, third, and then Zuniga was the second, third. So I was fine with it because I liked the player. The problem with him is injury. But as far as him being talented, man, he's got all the things you want in an edge rusher, and they loved him at Florida. So anyway, if he's a bust, but I get the pick. I definitely get it.
Mm-hmm.
So all right. So we had a comment from Sam Darnold, our previous quarterback. They asked him, how important is it to get tackled, to get hit in training camp? And he said that he obviously had a lot of experience getting hit the last few years with the situation that he was in, and everybody laughed. So do you think that was a direct shot at the organization? Do you think it's just, hey, it's a matter of fact? What did that stir in you? Anything?
I was a little surprised he said it, actually, because he's usually a pretty clean-cut guy, right? Like, he's not usually that kind of guy. I think that he is rightfully probably a little bit frustrated with the hand that he was dealt when he came to the Jets. And I'm sure he's looking forward to playing us week 1. And my belief was going into the game, and still pretty much the same belief, you know, he's going to be pressured in that game. The offensive line the Panthers have, it ain't that good. Like, it's just not. Right. They have Taylor, I think it's Taylor Moton or Matan, the right tackle.
Right. Yeah.
And they have the center guard that we let go. His name always Elfline. Yeah. So I think it's fine. I don't really care. It doesn't really tick me off all that much. I know it may irritate some people, but I just think it's interesting that he said that, because he's playing the Jets, and there's a good shot that we put some hits on him, I think, like, even without Carl Lawson. And that was before Carl Lawson went down. So
right.
It was a bold move, Cotton. Let's look and see how it pays off. Like, that's kind of what I thought.
Yeah. Well, and I still think that we're going to, right, just like you're saying, like, I think we're going to be able to get to him. And I think we're going to rattle him. And I think it's like Sam Darnold, to me, it was an odd comment to me too, because he he hasn't taken those opportunities to throw stones before. And I think it's probably more of a happenstance comment where he was just trying to tell the truth and like kind of just talk, as opposed to some well thought out underhand jibe at the place that he's been. I don't think that's there. I think it's more just like, well, I obviously have experience. And it ended up being a joke that he realized it probably when they laughed at it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I saw some people getting upset. F this guy, blah, blah. I don't know. I think I'm happy that we're getting him week 1 because we know what he's dealing with week 16. And I don't know how much could have happened between then and now that we should be afraid of him. So I think it's just he's gonna be bounced around the place, and I think he's gonna be rattled often, and I think it's I don't know.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just going to say,
No,
Rusty
go ahead.
Spooner had an interesting comment. He says, Sam's going to get hit a lot more in Carolina. NFC South brings that heat. He'll be seeing ghosts again starting week 1. He is in a remarkably tough division, I think. I mean, I know Atlanta's not all that great, but, the Saints are pretty tough even without Drew Brees, and we know the Bucs are for real. I think he's going to get hit a good amount, not just in the Jets game. It's going to be throughout the season. He's going to be hit a lot. So
yeah, so hopefully he is used to it. So maybe we can all laugh about this after he's the most sacked quarterback in the NFL this year. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's I just don't see it in Sam. And even if it is, you know what, man? Like, let me take off my Jets hat for a second to say, good for him, man. You can throw one stone. The guy was, dude. He hung out with Adam Gase intimately for 2 years, dude. Can you imagine?
No.
I couldn't imagine hanging out with Adam Gase for 2 minutes, honestly.
I can't imagine what conversations would be like with Adam Gase in even just like a casual sense. I can't imagine what that would be like.
No, it would not be interesting. That's a fact.
That's what I
It wouldn't be like you'd be like a lot of this. That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy, man.
And
a lot of that stuff.
Too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So, all right, I see some super chats coming in. Rags Morales, thank you for the super chat. I'm not seeing a question associated with it. So, if you want to get your question in, just
check.
put it in the chat. Yeah, put it in the chat, and I'll scan. I'll keep my eye open for you and try to get back to you. But I do appreciate it, man. So, thank you. Let's see the other one. There is a question. This is Steven. Thank you, Steven. Appreciate the super chat. 2 of my most favorite folks. Love this, guys. So awesome when you all collaborate. Keep it up. Sack, always watching. So that's Steve, Sack Exchange. Thank you, man. It's always good to have you around, my friend. That is BKLYN929, the giveaway master. Steve, I'll tell you, my wife, I just got to Virginia. My wife actually is not here now. She went to pick up the packages that I've received over the past however long that I was not in Virginia. So I believe the package that you sent me for not even for winning anything. This guy he's a good dude. So I'm going to find out what that is just a little while. Maybe I'll open it on camera. How's that sound? When my wife will be back here any minute. So,
and he also offered a beer chug with me week 2 versus the Patriots. So I'm holding him to that one. I want to down a beer with him. So
like a competitive style, or just like, hey, we want to have a beer.
Celebratory. We're back in MetLife. We're back to a game. I'm fired up. I want to put a beer down with somebody.
Yeah, well, that's nice. I like that. If I drank, I would do it with you. I'm a very competitive drinker, though. And for every beer everybody drinks, I feel necessary that I have 6. So that's kind of how it rolls. Yeah.
That's my friend from college. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my thing. So, well, here's something from Rags. So thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. Will win when Namath dies. Clearly, he sold his soul in 69. This is an interesting one, though. Why would Namath, he didn't own the Jets. Why would his soul have any relevance to the rest of the team? Like, wouldn't it just be him? I don't know. This one never sat well with me. I'm looking for answers. I'm not saying it's not true. I want you to know that. But I'm looking for answers. I just went to the Hall of Fame in Canton, and there's a whole new show there, the hologram show. It's like a locker room through time. and the host is Joe Namath, and it's like, I don't know, I thought he was great. I like this guy, but it's
He's a legend.
hey man, he really is, and I understand what people are saying. It's like clearly we can't get out of our own way since that day, seemingly. I totally get it, but hey, have the package? Do you have the package? Can I have it? It's here. Yeah, can you get it? I was just talking about it. And bring me my energy drink. I got gifts. So, anyway, I don't know. This one doesn't sit with me as comfortably as it does with some of my brethren in the Jets fandom. But if Joe Namath dies and then we win right away, it's never, that legend's never going to die. Never. Do you think there's anything to that? You think Namath sold his soul, man?
I think it's mostly just like we just enjoy saying it. He sold his soul to the devil to win the Super Bowl III. I mean, that's like fun to talk about. It's not real. It's fun to say though.
Yeah, but right, it's like, but why would the Jets suck forever? He's not even here. Has nothing to do. Why do we have to suffer for this guy? You know what I mean? What is
That's
it?
Joe
owners,
Willie.
Everything. Joe Willie don't care. He's like, I don't care about anybody, the fans. Give me my fur coats. I want to wave my finger at the tunnel. That's what I want. So we have another super chat. Hey, John Post, I see you in there moderating. I don't know what happened. I couldn't see what it was, but thank you for helping the cause. I appreciate it. Hold on 1 second. How was football? My son just did his first ever tackle football practice. So
Mostly just conditioning.
Oh, all conditioning, isn't that fun though? Don't you love running around and push-ups and leg lifts? You don't like it?
You know that you're only supposed to go around parents, right?
Oh, so you ran longer?
I was going around.
You make sure the coach knows. So I ran twice as much today, butthole. I'm just kidding. Call your coach a butthole. They'd never like it. Never, not once.
15 minutes, go.
Yeah. So it was good though?
Yeah.
You meet some friends?
No, but
Yeah? Okay. Awesome. Good for you, buddy. We're talking about the Jets.
What's new?
Yeah, we're in here crying. That's right. We're crying together. It's okay. We need each other. So submission 72. Thanks for bearing with me, everybody. It's an exciting day. I was here with you, and I'm not at his first practice, so I will be at the next practice. So anyway, submission 72 with the super chat. Thank you, sir. Is there anyone in free agency for us to pick up? Do you see us getting someone on a trade? Keep up the good work, fellas. Well, it's funny that you bring that up because I was tipped off that somebody here with us right now might have that information for you. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you. And why don't you let everybody know, what are our options? Are there any? What's going on out there for us?
So right now it's slim pickings, fellas. It's slim pickings, and ladies if you're out there. So the best one to me right now that's available, and I was kind of surprised his name was out there, Olivier Vernon. He's 30 years. He's available. I mean, and again, he's a free agent. We don't have to trade for him. And he's coming off of a 9-sack season this past year. And between 2018 and 2019, 10.5 sacks between the two. So he's got production, and I think he would fit the scheme fine. And it's one of those situations where, again, not going to be able to fill the shoes of Carl Lawson in any way, shape, or form, but it at least gives us another guy who isn't undrafted to play. And I kind of like that idea. I'm kind of hoping for it actually now. And again, I don't know if Joe Douglas will do that. He seems pretty steadfast in letting the young guys play. So that may not even happen. Vic Beasley is available, who I'm not not too keen on him. He kind of fell off a lot, actually.
Hard. He only had 1 year, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he had the 15.5 sacks in 2016. And then he was pretty consistent, actually. I won't lie. 4 sacks in 2015, 5 in 2017, 5 in 2018, 8 in 2019, and then off the cliff he went. If there was anyone, who could get something out of him, I think it would be our coaching staff. I really like Ulbrich and Saleh. Everson Griffin is there. He is 33 years old, so he may be actually close to retirement. He may be actually considering retirement. I don't know his situation all that well. He played on 2 teams last year, 6 sacks last year, 8 the year prior. Again, we're not looking for somebody to do what Carl Lawson would have done, but again, it's a vet who you can kind of plug and play. And then the last one that I'm going to reference, and if you guys in the chat, if you have another name that you know about, let me know and let GreenBean know. But Trent Murphy is the other name. I'm not real keen on him either. 30 sacks, and I don't really think he's a great scheme fit either. So
interesting. Olivier Vernon would be interesting to at least, like, you know, the old term kick the tires on. That would be an interesting one. It's not a very good list. I'm disappointed in the list you brought us today, my friend.
I apologize. This is all that's there, man. I gotta get on the phone and get somebody to get cut. So
yeah, well, that's the good news. The good news is we're going to start seeing some cuts, and a lot of times teams have to make tough decisions. And then there's always trades with guys that you're going to cut versus guys that other guys are going to cut. And don't forget, we're number 2 in the waiver wire. So the guys that do get cut, if Jacksonville doesn't want them, we have first dibs. So if anybody does have any potential out there, we're going to be able to take a crack at them. So that's a silver lining here, guys. It's not, it's not, that's not to be understated, being second in the waiver wire during this time of year. Not everybody who gets cut is a scrub, so sometimes teams just have an abundance of players and they have to make the decision. We've seen a lot of our players go elsewhere. Don't forget, a name I like to bring up all the time is Atari Bigby, and he had a very good career for the Packers, and he was on our team, man, and we cut him. I think we cut him for I forget who it is, but I didn't like him. Let me just say that way. Atari Bigby's last game with the Jets, he had 2 interceptions in preseason, and we cut him. So
the waiver wire thing is legit, and I think it's good that you mention it. So David Moore is a guy we just won in waivers, who was, somebody that did very, very well at the Senior Bowl, the guard that we picked up. So it's definitely nothing to sneeze at. Right.
So I see Rags is saying that I think he said he's something in here. He stuck something in here. So he said scroll. I'm scrolling, buddy. I don't see it. Well, what's this? Well, I think it's the Nameless Dive thing. I think that was what you were doing, right? And I'll tell you what, though, Rags, you're not alone. There's a lot of people in here. There's people giving reasons why. It's real. So, hey, who knows? I just hate to have to root for somebody to die. You know what I mean? I hate to have to root. So here it is. This is it, right, Steve? Let me see if it's from New York. I don't know if is this it, Steve? Let me see.
Is this a care package? What is this?
I don't know. He said he sent me something, and then I got something. So
nice.
So I'm putting it together. It's him, right? So we'll see what it is together as friends. Unless I can't show you guys. I don't know what it is. So let's see. Is this? I don't even know if this is the pack from him either. Oh, it's definitely from him, dude. Look at this.
Ooh, Freeman.
Look at this, signed. Dude, look at this, guys.
It's beautiful.
This is Sack Exchange from Twitter. Why is it going there? It's like weird. It's opposite. So this is Sack Exchange from Twitter. BKLYN929 just sent me this in the mail. It's real. So, dude, thank you. I couldn't be more grateful. This is my favorite offensive Jet of all time, right there. Love me some Freeman McNeil. Now I just got to find a way to hang it in the RV. But thank you, man. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Thank you.
That's super cool.
You guys are awesome. So I see their super chat. Let me get this one in. Yeah, they're making fun of me for asking for the package. Well, there's the package. Now you know what it really is. There's no innuendo. I'm innuendo-less, except for when I'm talking about wine. So I am Jim. Thank you for the super chat. Now, if we have a dominant edge rusher this year, the coaching staff will have really proven something. That's a good point. If they can make one of these guys or more than one of these guys have an effective pass rushing season from the edge, we're going to really be able to, hang some real credence on this coaching staff and their abilities, because right now we're going off what they've done from the coordinator positions. If Salah's able to muster up and get this team going to the point that we can have really undrafted free agents and old men. You know, Ronald Blair's he's not exactly a young guy, right? Isn't he 29, Ronald Blair?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I remember correctly. You know, Vinny Curry is obviously not a young man, so there's a lot of question marks there. If they can make this a solid pass rush, I'm telling you, man, that's going to really bode well for the future and how we move out of this darkness into the future. Don't forget, we have 11 draft picks next year. And I'm convinced we're going to use one on an edge rusher, even with Carl Lawson on the team. So I think that it's time. It's time to put some real premium assets into that position, just like he's doing with the offensive line. We now have 2 first-round picks that have gone into the offensive line, when the 5 years prior, we've only had a 3rd and a 5th go into the offensive line. So I think that tide is shifting, and I think we're going to see the edge rusher tide shift as well. And I think that was going to happen with or without Carl Lawson. But do you agree? You think that if they can get a pass rush out of these guys, you think it's going to mean a lot toward what they're able to do moving forward?
I just want to see growth. If we see growth, that's a sign of great coaching, right? Like if we see Huff take a step, and again, it doesn't have to be a monstrous step, but if they improve, I think that's a sign of good coaching and proper development. They're in the right scheme, all of that stuff. There was a good comment by NYJ Tales. He said the rotation is just going to be more often. I think that's a good take, and I think that's kind of how I see it too. I don't think that, like, whoever's named the starter, that's all good and well, but I do think we're going to see, and it was going to be the case regardless, you know, before Carl Lawson got hurt, but I do think that at the edge specifically, you might see more rotation in that position group, and everybody's going to get their opportunities, and they're going to see who rises to the top. You know what I mean? Like within the first 4 weeks, they're going to know, you know,
right,
who's the one that's really making the impact.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, actually. And it's, you know, it's just gonna you know, accelerate things. And look, we have a lot of young legs on this team, and that like we've talked about it ad nauseum with the cornerback room. We've talked about it to some extent with the linebackers, but it also applies to the defensive line, especially with the edge. You know, when you're looking at guys like Hamilton, Rashid, and obviously Bryce Huff, who looks good. I mean, these guys look good. So, and I look, man, and this could be the exact type of situation that these guys needed to be able to show up. A lot of guys never make it through the depth chart. They just never get their opportunity. So, hey, who knows? Who knows, man? So now we heard about Mims getting injured. Now, was there any news? I heard that he was, quote, okay. Is he okay? Was there a label for the injury? Did you hear anything about that?
I did not hear what he hurt. The only thing I had read was that he sat on a cart, but he walked to the cart. Does that make sense? Like he was able to move himself to the cart, and then he sat on it and rode the cart. I don't know if it's serious, but I think that, you know, based on what I've been reading from reports, doesn't look to be serious. I think it was precautionary. That was one of the words that I think I read in regards to Mims. And It looks like Stephen Engel just threw in the chat, Mims is day to day, according to, you know, what he's saying. And everybody's saying day to day. So that's great to hear. Mims is my guy. I think everybody who does this, you know, who creates content for the Jets, I think it's pretty common that everybody's really, really backing this kid.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Okay. So I missed everybody saying how cool the gift was. So thank you guys. I see all you guys. This is pretty crazy. I wanted to answer Slago's question as well. Slago asked how old my son is. My son is 13. He said he coached 11, 12-year-olds. I used to coach 9, 10, 11-year-olds for years. That's why I was able to. I'm real good at like level 1 coaching. Once it gets complex, I'm not good at it, coaching anyway. But I was able to get this kid to a good spot where he has good fundamentals, and now he's going out into the world, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's fun, man. It's fun having a kid that. I mean, look, he wakes up in the morning, he does his little exercises, he does his little, his little route workshop and everything. What the hell? I can't think of the word. Not exercises. What's the word? Exercises. Why not?
Yeah,
What's
that
the
works.
word? Routine.
Techniques? I don't know.
Yeah. Route. I don't know. I can't. I'm fried, dude.
I apologize.
So,
I can't think of a word for you.
I know. I need help. It's okay. So what else we got in here? Are you forgetting about Q? So Mission 72, are we forgetting about Q? I mean, Q should have around 7 to 10 this year. John Franklin Myers could have around 5 to 10. Yeah, well, I don't think we're forgetting about Q. I think that's kind of what we're talking about. It was going to be real fun to see a legitimate edge rusher next to Q. Sheldon Rankins, who's also known as a relatively effective pass rusher, his weakness is in the run game somewhat. But we have guys like Fadu Kasi and some others that are really strong in that department. So maybe the rotation could be such that they nail it on the running plays versus the passing downs and get the right guys in there. But I think it was more about being excited for the two of them together. Because I agree. I think Quentin Williams he's a special player and he's probably primed to break out. But I don't want to talk about him anymore because I'm afraid of jinxing him. I don't want to mention Q anymore. Let's just forget he exists. And just root for that guy on Sundays. Who's that? Look at that guy.
I like that guy.
Yeah, that guy looks pretty good. Don't ever mention his name, and we won't have anything to worry about. So Greg Tarr about Freeman McNeil says, unfortunately, he wasn't a mutter. And that is, in fact, the case. And that is what Don Shula, one of his greatest moments was realizing that the entire Jets team weren't mutters, and he created mud for them to play in. So that sucks. That's a painful one. But that was the day I became a Jets fan. So who knows, if we would have won, maybe I wouldn't have been. I was kind of mad that they lost. It was weird. That's how I roll. I'm anger based. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You need to feel your senses come alive before you can really connect.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like just winning, I'm like, it's like the Yankees. Like I was always a kind of a Yankee fan, and I was really into them for a few years based on the alcohol I could consume in the bleachers for many years. But I never got too excited because I was always like, they're gonna win. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, yeah, they're winning, and they
Boring.
did. So yeah, it was boring for me. It's like when I think of the Patriots, like all these Super Bowls, I'm almost like, really? This many is good?
Yucky.
Yeah. It's almost like it's too much. Like, what is this? Fucking boring. Like, they need a little adversity up there. What is this crap? So, Mims is just slender, Piddly Poo says, or Piddle Pie Poo. I always say that wrong. Mims is just slender, slight build, not about stretching. I don't know. I think Mims is he is slender, of course, 6'3", but he's also 200 and change. And he's quite muscular and strong, effective blocker. So I don't know, man, but I think Mims has been injured enough that it bears a little concern, a little bit of kid gloving with him. Make sure that he's good and he's not slacking because, obviously he lost all those games last year and has been injured a little bit this year. So it's just, it's enough that I would be like really cautious with him. What do you think of Mims? Are you on the Denzel Mims cut train? Do you think he's kind of, put up or show up, or are you in Mims's corner?
No, I love Mims, and I'm a big time supporter of him. And the fact that there's noise that's against him makes me want to root for him harder. It's literally that scenario. I went back and forth with Matt O'Leary on Twitter, and I was like, I don't know if this is right, but I can't help but be more of a fan of his. Listening to him talk about it, I like the kid a lot, and I'm not saying I like him, and that's the reason why I like him. I like him as a player, and I like his attitude. If you listen to him in the presser after the Giants game, he obviously played really well. He volunteered to play special teams. Coach, just put me on the field and I'll make a play. Right. I love that. I love me that too. Shit. That I could eat that up all day long. And he was so humble and just he has the right mindset here. He's not going to stop fighting, even though he's right now playing as a third team wide receiver, but it's not, everybody looks at it so what's the word I'm looking for here? You know, literally, they're taking it so literally. Third team, he's playing behind Corey Davis and he's playing behind Keelan Cole. It's not that he's not a good wide receiver on this football team. There's just a lot of good wide receivers.
Yeah.
And so I would think it's probably our deepest position, you know, aside from maybe interior defensive line. And so I look at it from the sense that he's just buried under some really good veterans right now. Corey Davis is wide receiver 1. Keelan Cole looks like he is the wide receiver 2 on the outside. And Mims is just going to have to fight for it. And again, why is that a bad thing? That's good. That's good. That's a good problem to have. And I'm not trying to go on a tangent here, but the whole thought of him not being a scheme fit, I get it. You want route runners and you want guys that can move in and out of their cuts quickly. That's fine. And this scheme clearly favors that. But what offense in the NFL doesn't want a 6'3" wide receiver that can run down the field and go catch the ball up in the air? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And it gets me all frustrated and fired up. So if you want to talk about Denzel Mims, I can't help but defend him because I just find all of the stuff crazy. And it's not directed at anybody in your stream necessarily. It's just the whole pack. The whole package deal, man. It's just the noise is just irritating to me because I love him. I think he's a great kid.
I do too. I'm happy to hear you say that. We need more voices on the side of reason, like you said, and it's literally a sentence I've said just dozens of times over these past couple of weeks. It's like, are you telling me that our offense cannot use a 6'3" receiver with 4.38 speed who climbs the ladder perfectly, high points the ball, and catches away from his body with his hands? And his clutch, and he never freaks out by the moment. Baylor leaned on him, and in all of the tense moments, it was going to Denzel Mims. And dude, come on, like, the guy is everything you want, other than he pulled some hammies. Like, that's it. And like you said, he actually asked the coaches to play on special teams. We saw, I don't know if you guys saw it, but on that first kickoff, he almost made the tackle. He didn't make the tackle, but he fully extended to try to get him. He leaped, and it was like, wow, he means it. So
he wants it.
The guy, and if you guys didn't see One Jets Drive episode 2 of this year, I think just listen to what he's saying, listen to his words, listen to his work ethic. The guys have kind of taken him under their wing, and he's got all the talent in the world. He also said something in a press conference. They were trying to get him to say some stuff. You know how our New York media is. And they were kind of poking him, and they said, what were you thinking about the third string and all? He's like, I'm not thinking about that at all. I'm not thinking about any of it. And they asked him to try to break down his thought process on the 20-yard play that he had against the Giants on third down. So what were you thinking? And he said, I was thinking I got to get the first down. Like, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking I got to get the first down. What everything else is nothing to me. I want to catch the ball and get the first. And I got to say, like, there's not a better answer for the kind of fan that I am. I love matter of fact. I love when guys kind of cut through all the baloney and don't let people's questions kind of entangle them. It's like, no, this is what I'm doing. Next question. And I thought that he really, from my standpoint, he impressed me with kind of not getting angry, but also not buying into all this horse shit that we see going on about him being relegated to the third team, like you said, and he's going to get cut and he's going to get traded. It's like, it's nonstop. And then it went over to Becton, who we'll talk about in a minute. But I'm happy to hear that you're on the Mims train too, because I love him. He was like in the draft. I liked Justin Jefferson was my favorite wide receiver. I obviously like Jerry Jeudy and Van Gundy or whatever the hell his name. I can't remember. What's the guy in Dallas? What's his name again? Van Fleet.
CD Lamb.
CD Lamb. There it is. But Mims and Laviska Shenault to me were like, I kind of liked those two guys more than. I already forgot his name. What's his name again? With Van Fleet?
Oh, CD Lamb.
CD Lamb. What's wrong with me? But like, dude, I liked Mims so much. The fact that he was sliding, I couldn't believe it that he was sliding. He's just this year's guy. It happens every single year, or last year's guy, you know? But anyway, I couldn't be more excited to have him. I think our fan base should support this guy because we've been looking for a receiver like him for a long time. So there's another super chat I want to get to. This is New York Jets Tales. What's up, buddy? Thank you, my friend. New York Jets Tales always around. He's a good dude. Why is everyone ignoring Curry? I don't expect him to start, but strong rotation possibility. Oh, yeah. But I think that, and you can correct me and tell me your thoughts on this, John, but I think the reason forgetting about him is because he's injured. See me? Oh, everything just went blank.
It's okay. I can hear
you here.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
All right, good. I just freaked out.
No,
Go
you're good.
to my backup.
Nope, you're good. You asked me about Vinny Curry. Do you mind repeating just one of the parts?
Yeah, I just said I think one of the reasons people might be forgetting about him is that he is injured and he's not a part of the day-to-day for us right now. So I think it's kind of easy to forget that he's on the team. But I think he is a very integral part to their plans. What are your thoughts on Vinny Curry?
I just think of rotation, and I think that, it's fair to say, why are we ignoring him? He is injured, but eventually he's going to come back, and I think that he is going to be a part of that rotation. The only thing with him is what kind of production, and I'm not saying that he's, suggesting this, but what kind of production can we really expect from him? He hasn't really produced a whole lot the last couple of years. So, yeah, I saw that one. Freeze Bean's a popular one.
Yeah, that's the name. But let me just let me interrupt you, but hold that thought, okay? Because I want to interest you. But just in this, I want to let you guys know, I'm on a landline. I'm so happy. Everybody's asking, where am I? Somebody said, am I in Wayne's World before? So I'm in a home in Charlottesville. I'm in the basement, obviously, but I check the internet. It's faster than anything I've had on the road. And I'm so happy. And I'm so I'm proud to have it. And the fact that Freeze Bean came, I think that's just kind of the universe saying, hey, man, this is kind of your gig. You suck at this. So I think that's that's just what happens. It's just part of the game. You know what I mean? But thank you guys. It's kind of like a warning too. A lot of times I don't know, John. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, dude, we can't see you. You know what I mean? So they're my little warning guys. But
this is a throwback. This is a throwback. Actually, this is not related to Vinny Curry. So years ago, I wasn't doing what I'm doing now, which we doing this online. I was watching the live stream of the draft with you, Ryan, and Matt, and your camera gave out or something, and it was just a picture of you. And you were just staring. It was very funny. Anyway, it makes me think of that.
That year, you want to know what that was? That's really funny that you bring it up, because I was live with them for the first night, and that was our first year doing it. So, but I had to. That was the weekend I was moving out of my house into an RV. It just happened to line up. So I would call in every now and then, but they put a picture up there.
Yeah.
They said, honestly,
people see me? You got two of them?
Yeah.
What's going on?
I could.
All right. Okay. I'm back. All right. What's happening?
What's happening? Hold on. Let me see what.
Bear with me.
No, you're good.
Okay.
I think you're good now.
There we go. I should be good. I don't understand. Anyway, so that's what was happening to me then. So they put a picture up there. Most people didn't even realize I wasn't there. I said, that bodes well for my impact on the stream.
It was funny. It was really funny.
But anyway, Vinny Curry.
Yeah, I just think that I'm not looking to him to get a ton of sacks. I just want to make sure that's clear. But again, having somebody that you can go in there and rotate, I think is very, very important. Just not counting on him as much as I am, some of the younger guys, even though they're inexperienced. Pressuring the quarterback, I guess he'll produce some, but I'm not real high on him. I don't know if when they signed him, they were really expecting a whole lot other than just, some mentorship and to be able to rotate in a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think Vinny Curry's purpose is to be rotational, like we're saying. Come in there for about tops 30% of the plays, offer a legitimate guy who can apply pressure when other guys need a breather, that, the guys that are starting. If Vinny Curry is starting, then we have issues. That would be I would definitely feel that way. If Vinny Curry, if our young guys can't, jump over him on the depth chart, then that wouldn't bode well for the long-term impact of these players that we're hoping can do some things. I do think Bryce Huff will start on the one side. Now that Lawson, I don't know, man. It's gonna be rough. I'm hoping it's Hamilcar and
I still can't believe
Bryce
that's his
Huff.
name, Hamilcar.
It's tough.
Hamilcar.
It's tough to get these names. We got a lot of those. We have Hamza Nasruddin, and it's not easy. We're working on it. We're working out. We're getting here, everybody. We're getting here. So John Post says he thought somebody else joined the show when that happened. So yeah, I freaked it. I had to make sure I was still here at least once, and I ended up being here twice. So yeah, sorry, John. Sorry.
All good.
So let's see. Am I breaking up now too? I can switch to the other one and see what that one goes. Let me know if is it? Then it's like more the last 10 minutes or so than it has been all night though, right?
Yeah, it makes me think that maybe somebody in that house is using the internet while you're using it. That would be my suspicion. I can read some comments while you're doing that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Go ahead. Read a couple comments. You know what? I will be right back. Give me 2 minutes. I'm gonna drop off. You got this for 2 minutes?
Yeah. This is no longer your show. I'm taking over the ship.
Nice. I love it. NYJ today. I'll be right back.
Yeah. NYJ today, Bean. Curly Norman said, "Did O'Leary get a Lawson jersey and jinx him?" I actually saw him tweeting about that, earlier today, and he tweeted out a couple of times. How he had gotten a Lawson jersey. I think he got a Wilson and a Moore jersey. So fingers crossed that jinx isn't actually happening. David Goodstein, he says, let's talk about Salah at the press conference. Isn't it refreshing to have an articulate, competent coach? Not only like competent and like articulate in conferences and press conferences, but just a competent coach and one that can relate with players. When you think about Gase, you're thinking about a guy who didn't relate to players and in fact was a dividing force in our, on our team. And so now we've got this guy who's like smooth and articulate and just really it connects with these players. I feel like that's a thing. Like, he gets these guys and he understands where they're coming from. Submission 72. I blame O'Leary. Oh my gosh. Yoshi says maybe Blair and Huff start on opposing sides. Yeah, Blair definitely I think would be a strong candidate because he is more of that like run defender, on the edge. I still think that it wouldn't be crazy to think of Jonathan Franklin Myers and Bryce Huff starting on the edges. I don't see that being a bad situation at all. And I think you can rotate those other pieces behind those two guys. You mentioned Blair. We've got Curry. We've got the Hamilcar. So there's a couple of names that could, back those two up. But I don't think you're way off on that one by any means. Solomon Jet 718. Wait, what channel am I on? Yeah, crazy stuff, man. Yeah, Rusty Spooner. So happy with Salah and the way that he is. You have to imagine the way Salah talks in these conferences. Just imagine what he must be like behind the scenes. And when he is talking to these players one-on-one, he's probably just like the coolest dude you could possibly imagine, I would think. Let's see. Sam has zero chemistry with Robbie. They were never on the same page as that. I mean, that's fair. There was definitely some up and downs with Sam and Robbie. It always felt like at the beginning of the year they couldn't connect, and then near the end of the year they would kind of be getting, get things going. It was always strange to me that didn't work out. Yeah, Jonathan Franklin Myers and Huff, I think that would be good, and it's a young tandem. And again, they could learn and grow throughout the year. And again, you rotate. Just because those two are playing doesn't mean the other guys aren't going to get action. Let's see. Billy SBC. This year was never about Lawson. It's about developing Wilson. And I feel like that is a really, really poignant chat message. The fact that we didn't lose somebody on offense, and I'm not saying I'm happy that we lost Lawson. That's not at all what I'm getting at. But our offense needs to have success this season. And we can't screw this kid up. So if Becton were out for the season, if Elijah Vera Tucker were out for the season, some of our wide receivers, that would just kill the offense's vibe, I feel like. And so the fact that it isn't somebody on offense, I think, is a very, very important message. Hey, what's up, man?
You're doing great, man.
Yeah, NYJ
Good listening.
GreenBean or NYJ Bean.
NYJ Bean. So that's good. So you can keep going. Keep going, man. I'm not done.
No, I was just literally reading their comments. We need to get a guard for Wilson. Emanon NYNV. So everybody's going to agree with that take. So right now we're looking pretty young and talented on the left side. I still think McGovern's okay for this year. It's going to be interesting to see how he does as like a rebound year. And then right guard, as we all know, and right tackle, as we kind of, we're still hopeful with Morgan Moses, but he's only on that 1-year deal. We got to get some more offensive linemen on this team. And I think it's definitely, if you look at the track record for Joe Douglas, it's pretty clear he's going to continue to stack chips on that offensive line. So I'm not really worried about the offensive line in the future because I know he's just going to keep adding to it. So, now you're silent. Now I can't hear you.
I hit mute, so there's that. I didn't want you to be distracted by, oh my goodness. But I agree with you. I think it's awesome to see a general manager that keeps stacking the offensive line. It's really a shame. Cam Clark is one of the ones that, like, my biggest disappointments. Like, it's interesting with the 2020 draft, we see guys like we've talked about Jabari Zuniga, who I liked coming out. Cam Clark, who I liked coming out. Aston Davis was a head scratcher for me when we did it. I did not like that pick when we made it, but I do like the player. But those three guys, I think that we have a lot of we're not, I don't want to say depending on them, but we have a lot of high hopes for them kind of being the earlier portion of our pipeline for those positions: edge rusher, offensive line, and obviously safety. And the fact that Cam Clark cannot seem to stay healthy, which was not a big deal for him in college, it's concerning. And Ashton Davis is another one. So I don't know, but you see Joe Douglas every year grabbing guys from the offensive line. So I don't know. I think the Alex Lewis thing is weird, but that makes room for some of the guys that like Tristan Hodge, like some of these other guys that we like Dan Feeney. He's got just so much potential. Dan Feeney, everybody loves him. So let's see what he can do.
He was. I have a guy
Dan
who comes
Feeney.
on my. I was just gonna say I have a guy who comes on my channel who's a contributor to Jets X Factor, and he said that he was bad in that game. And again, PFF kind of Dan Feeney definitely, apparently not very good at all. So
there was one play that he literally was on his back.
Yeah, not good.
Not offensive lineman. Here's a rule of thumb: if you're ever laying on your back, evaluate what you've done on that play, because you're not supposed to be doing that. That
Correct.
Is a bad look. All right. If you're ever on your back, that means you've done bad. You've done bad. So somebody brought up Cashman. So did you mention Cashman? I think I see a couple of Cashman comments.
We didn't talk about him.
All right. So look at this. So submission 72 is saying, hey, so what's the deal with Ashton Davis and Cashman? I mean, if they don't play this year, I just don't see them on the team next year. Well, I will. Let me say a couple of thoughts first, and then I'll throw it to you. I think Ashton Davis and Cashman are not necessarily on the same plane because they're not from the same draft class. So Ashton Davis was able to play a little bit more than Cashman was last year, but that was his rookie year. Cashman has 2 years of not being able to finish because of injuries after being injured throughout college. So I think Cashman might be a little bit more ahead of Ashton Davis, where like them being willing to kind of cut ties. I think Cashman might be on his last leg here. What do you think? Do you hold them in the same kind of pocket, or you look at them differently? Ashton Davis and Blake Cashman?
I do. And the simplest thing to look at is that Joe Douglas did not draft Blake Cashman.
There's that too. Good point.
But I do hear what he's saying. And I was a defender of Ashton Davis as well leading up to this preseason. I'm worried for Ashton Davis because it's not just the injuries. Like, injuries suck and they're bad. They're not good. But think about think about his off seasons, the last 2 off seasons. He had his pandemic off season in 2020. And now this off season, he's got no training camp at all. And he's going to have played 0 preseason games. So
Right.
when you look at it that way, that's where my biggest concern is with Ashton Davis. It really, the injuries is actually secondary, which is crazy to think about, because this guy has just not been available to learn and to get better as a football player. And we saw he needs development last year. He got, he took poor angles, on pass plays that, were completed his way. So he needs to get on the field and learn. And I think that's what it was killing me. Like, when he got hurt and he's not going to be playing until week 2, I think. Is that the report that they said?
That's what they said. So it could be longer than that. But they said that they wouldn't get him back until at least week 2.
Yeah. So the only thing that Cashman has going right now is he's healthy right now. And it is a pretty thin linebacker core. I just hope that when Ashton Davis comes back, he's been studying his ass off, because he's going to need to have done that. He could potentially struggle when he comes back.
Yeah. So look, I'm going to say this. I got a couple little house cleaning type of things to say. So one is, I'm going to switch over to the other thing. My sound probably won't be as good, but this one, it's spotty. I'm having difficulty hearing you. So something's happened with the internet service that I'm using on this. So I'm going to take this guy off and I'll switch over to the other one. Just is what it is, guys. Hopefully the sound is okay.
So, can you hear me? Wait. Sorry. Hold on. Wow. You hear that?
GreenBean.
GreenBean. Holy cow, that was scary. I didn't like that one bit. So that's first. This should be okay. It's just like I said, I don't have a microphone hooked up to this one, so it might not sound as good, but it's fine. You can hear me, right?
It actually sounds better. If that makes any sense.
Interesting. That's
bizarre.
All right. So it's whatever. So the other thing is sneakers to boots. I think I may have missed a super chat when I was out there putzing around with the Wi-Fi. So I'm sorry about that. If you could just tell me what the question was, sneakers to boots. I cannot see it. So I just scrolled all the way up to the top. It only backs up to a certain point. So I can't see it. So if you could just rewrite your question, I will try to get it up here. And I apologize, my man. So sorry about that. So what else we got? So yeah, I agree with you though. I think that's a good point about Blake Cashman, that he was not a Joe Douglas pick either. You can't understate the loyalty to their own draft picks. Like, people are talking about him cutting LaMichael Pirine, cutting Ashton Davis. I don't know. I think they're going to get a little bit more rope than some of the Jets fans are willing to offer. Now, what are your thoughts on the running game? I know we had some disagreements about some of the guys, some of the order of operations, and maybe on the depth chart. So, what did you think of how the running game looked in the first preseason game?
Early on, it looked pretty damn good. I thought. I talked about it all off season. I love Ty Johnson. I'm very excited to see that he was the first guy out there. I don't think that he's going to dominate carries, but I just love the fact that they recognize his talent and his scheme fit in this offense. I really feel like his potential is really high. And you're right. We did disagree. And actually, I will, I'm always willing to admit when I'm wrong. I think anybody that's
you gotta,
I think I was wrong in my assessment, not of Pirine necessarily, but just the thought that they were going to only keep 3 running backs. I think that they will keep 4 because, like you had said when I was on last time, they're going to probably do 2 tight ends and keep Wesco as that fullback who could play as a tight end. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then Fant can do that as well in a pinch.
Yep.
When you have that versatility, it enables you to do more things with other positional groups. But so did Pirine change your opinion at all? I mean, it's only one preseason game, but did you like what you saw at least?
Yeah, no, I did. And I think that anybody who watched the game and saw him getting tackled behind the line of scrimmage and got like mad at him is misguided. There was no chance on the couple of plays where he was blown up in the backfield. So that I don't even look into for him.
Yeah, right.
He ran hard. And I thought he was pretty decisive as well. Clearly got in the end zone. I know you're a big believer in him. And I think that I'm willing to say that I've been a little hard on him for sure, throughout the offseason. I just don't know if he's a great fit, but it's kind of like the Mims thing. Who doesn't want a bruising, tough, hard-nosed running back on their offense? You know what I mean? Like, he's not a perfect scheme fit, but that doesn't mean he can't play in the offense.
Right.
So
Right.
I will retract, my statements on Mr. P. Ryan. I think he has a role on this team. He's clearly going to get I think he's going to make the team. I think it's pretty safe to assume at this point.
Yeah. And that's good of you, man. I mean, look, one of the things I pride myself on is being able to go, fuck, man, I'm totally wrong on that one. I do that often because, look, when we talk as much as you and I do, you're bound to say some stuff, that maybe in a week or two you might not agree with. It's just bound to happen. I talk constantly. I mean, I'm like,
I'm sorry, I'm tripping over here.
It's all right, man. I've done that too. Let's all just make sure he's okay. Are you okay?
I'm good.
All right, good. Yeah, I know, I get it. But yeah, so good, man. But and I want to make it clear too. Like, I'm not a P. Ryan supporter. Like, I think he's going to be the next big thing. Like, I don't see that in him. What I see in P. Ryan is that running back. While he's very different than Bilal Powell, I think he's going to be that guy who's kind of here for a long time. He doesn't do anything great, but he knows how to get yards. He runs really hard. Like, there's a lot of things that he does good enough that he can be kind of all-purposey. And I think that has a lot of value to a team. And he's just he's known for his kind of blue-collar, lunch pail work ethic. So anyway, I think I was happy to see him get his chances. I was like kind of a little bit like, come on, man, it's taking a little bit longer than I thought it would for him to get on the field. But once he did, I thought they looked good. And like you said, I mean, it's like that Yeboah thing. I mean, which I'm a big Yeboah guy, and he didn't make me happy that day. But it's like the play itself, it's like you can't blame him for being destroyed on that play. Yeah. It was, by the time he turned around, there were two guys hitting him. The problem is, dude, you got to hold. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You got to hold it. You got to hold the ball. And especially when you're coming from an undrafted free agent status, trying to climb your way up a ladder with plenty of opportunity in front of you, but you're still trying to climb. And the first time you get on the field, you give the Giants their only opportunity to score points in the whole game. And people aren't going to like that shit, man. It's just the way that it goes, Right. So any thoughts on Yeboah? Do you think he's kind of done? Do you have any opinion on him yet? Or where are you with him?
No, we had when we do our show, and I said that it's not over. It's not over and done with. There are some times in some circumstances where players in that kind of the bubble or just outside of the bubble, where if they F up really bad, they can be cut immediately. He didn't get cut immediately.
Right.
We saw running back Austin Walter, who fell down, got up, fumbled the ball, and he did get cut.
He did.
So I think first of all, it's definitely not done. And I think that the message is pretty clear that if they wanted to get rid of him, they could have used that as a, very easy out for them,
Right. It's a very good point. And actually made me feel better too. It's like, I'm like, oh yeah, he could have totally been cut. And I didn't see, it's funny because I'm so like, now, like when I just said about P. Ryan, like, I don't think he's going to be anything all that special. I think he's a good guy to have around, and I want to keep him around. Yeboah, on the other hand, I actually do think has potential to be one of the better tight ends in the league. Now, I know it's a stretch, and I get it, but I happen to watch this guy's career, and I've liked him for a while now, and I like what he did and his progression, and I see him as somebody that's kind of a dark horse to really come out and be like an Arian Foster type, like, holy shit, where did this guy come from, So, again, not the start I wanted for my boy, but again, I think making it through the first cuts after a big blow-up boneheaded play like that is a good sign that they at least see some potential. Because Walter, interestingly, he did fall on his face twice, but he did get that first down after he clawed and got it, which I thought it was kind of redeeming. but obviously not. So, and it's a crowded running back room anyway. So
exactly. I think they probably decided like we haven't seen enough from him. He's made a bad mistake in a game. Let's go ahead and just, move along.
So, yeah. So sneakers to boots. I want to get to, I think this might be the question. Let me just make sure. I don't see anything else from you, buddy. But he says, GreenBean, sorry for the jinx on Tuesday mentioning the D-line health. Saleh will coach the hell out of our players. Young players will step up. And I gotta say, John, I actually feel that way. Like it doesn't mitigate the damage. It doesn't take away the feelings that we have about Carl Lawson. Like there's no sugar for this. It sucks, dude. It sucks. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like Saleh being there. It's like, all right, man. Like he talked about adversity. He talked about this being what makes teams, and he's a preacher of that. And he's done it before. It does kind of make you think, okay, well, let's see what we got here, doesn't it?
No, you're not wrong. And I think you kind of pointed it out earlier in the show. It happens to every team. Everybody loses a player. Like it may not be of that high a quality of a player, but everybody goes through injuries, and some teams get through it, have way more injuries. Maybe this will be our really bad injury on this football team. And then we get to the regular season and we get going through these weeks of football, and maybe we don't have too many more serious injuries. I mean, I'm trying to be optimistic here, but that could work out, well, again, assuming people get healthy and stay healthy. And it's just an unavoidable thing, man. Football is violent, and it's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, and look, we did all this work on our medical staff, like our training staff, our nutrition staff, our rehab staff, everything. It's a whole new place. The one place you really can't do shit for is the Achilles tendon. The only thing you can work on is the elasticity of your tendons. But it's like, even with that, it's a very interesting thing. It's like the old Greek story of the Achilles being dipped in the whatever, the protective sauce, but he was held by his Achilles, which is why it's the only way he could be killed. It's like, it's almost like that in like somewhat of a reality manner, because there's nothing you can really do to strengthen it. So no matter what we did to bolster our medical department and our program in that way, an Achilles busting is an Achilles rupture. It's just, there's nothing you can do. It's one of those things. And it just flat out sucks. So Nick Hunter, I see in here. So thank you, Sneakers to Boots. And I don't think it's your fault, buddy. I think if we're going to blame anybody legitimately, I think we do have a case to blame O'Leary. He made that big deal with the goddamn jerseys. I was talking to him earlier today, and I left it off the table. I didn't even bring it up because I know he's actually feeling it. I know he is. Like, we can't help. He's one of those guys, sits in the same chair, has the same drink. Like, he's one of those guys when he watches the games. So I know he broke protocol and bought the jersey, and like the day it comes, hey, look, and he's, all of a sudden his Achilles ruptures. So I know he's dealing with it, but even though it is his fault, I'm not going to say anything to him. I'm not going to bust him. But I see Nick Hunter, if I could find it again, he says, hey, so what's up with Becton? And I'm amazed that it's an hour and 40 minutes into this stream, and we haven't really talked about Becton. There it is. He says, what the F is going on with Becton? He hasn't been playing well at all this offseason. Now, I'm going to throw this one right to you because I don't want to blow it up. But do you agree with that statement? Where do you stand with the Becton thing?
So up until today, which is convenient, right? Up until today, I've been very dismissive of it. Practice, isn't really a reflection of what he's done in the games. We saw him play last year. The guy was kicking ass. And again, he lost a battle to Cleveland Farrell, which was very surprising in that Raiders game last year. He allowed a couple of sacks versus Cleveland Farrell. But the dude, when he played last year, was outstanding and making a huge difference, or could have even made a bigger difference if our jackass of a coach ran some plays behind him. But anyway, that's a different story. I was not concerned, but what I will say is today, our offensive coordinator, Mike LaFleur, he had a press conference after the scrimmage today, and he said, I'm going to paraphrase here because I don't know exactly what he said, but he said, He's struggling. He's going through some things, but he did say he's going to be okay. But he said he was going through some things. Well, I thought it was very interesting that he put that out there for mass consumption, for Jets fans to listen to.
Right.
But he
did. He doesn't know us yet. He doesn't know us. Like, you can't talk like that to us.
Yeah. You can't throw. Yeah, exactly. So I was surprised to hear him say that he's struggling and that he's going through some things. But I think it's reassuring that he believes he's going to be fine.
Yeah.
I don't know what else he would say possibly, but.
Right. I mean, I think it's, look, Gase used to actually do that. He would throw players under the bus. I mean, he would say, well, if the guy did, block, if he was where I told him to be, like, he would do that stuff. So that's rare. I think more coaches are inclined to try to protect their players. And even if they're going to cut them tomorrow, they're still going to talk about him being a good man and all those kinds of things. So, but I agree with you, man. I don't see, practice reports as like if somebody's working on something in practice, maybe it's a whole new technique. Maybe it's a kick slide that they've never done before and they're getting beat on it, but they're going to keep doing it. They're trying to use practice to improve. I don't look at the practice tally, 8 sacks today in practice as something that's concerning to me. Practice is practice. Now, I played football for many years and I've been through hundreds of practices, and I know what it's like to suck in practice and then put it together in a game because of the things that you worked on in practice. And I also know that while practice is of the utmost importance, the tally, the results of the practice as far as touchdowns versus interceptions are not so important, man. It's where people are working on things. So I'm not having the same feelings that a lot of our fan base, and Nick, with all due respect, man, I'm not saying that you're wrong for having your feelings, but I'm just saying I'm not having that same, I'm not swallowing it the same way as it sounds like you may be. Now, as far as the game in the Giants, dude, he did very well in that game. I don't know. There was that whole thing about Ojulari talking about how he dominated. I didn't see that. I mean, there was one play that Ojulari's persistence kind of paid off, and that's fine. That's good. I actually liked him coming out as well. I think he's a good player, but dude, Becton owned his ass the whole entire game. Becton wasn't giving up. It wasn't like he looked like crap. So again, and that's still a preseason game, which I don't put any credence into. So the fact that with the moment he was playing against another team in a game situation, he was Becton again. Like, I wouldn't worry about it. Now, I'll point out one more thing. Now, Nick, you're not alone in this, so I don't mean to single you out, but you asked the question, so I'm going to talk right to you. I don't know how old you are, if you remember DeBrickashaw Ferguson and all that stuff, but I'm just going to tell it to you anyway. The first 2 years of DeBrickashaw Ferguson on the Jets, half the fan base wanted him gone. They thought he was a complete bust. Now, he had his moments, but then he would have these games just full of clams. Like, there was one game he gave up 3 sacks. Like, it was really he had a rough go in the beginning. Now, DeBrickashaw Ferguson was with us for 10 years. I think he missed 1 snap, if I remember correctly, in 10 years. And he went to 3 or 4 Pro Bowls, and he was among the better left tackles in the league. He was never that dominant, Munoz, Orlando Pace type of guy, but he was one of the best tackles in the league for about 8 years of his career, dude. Even if Becton is sliding a little bit this year, dude, give him a second. It's a brand new regime, an entirely new blocking scheme. Like, everything that we saw from Becton, just like John just said, dude, we watched him against other teams in real NFL action, and I loved what I saw, as did 99% of the rest of the Jets and the talking heads out there. Nobody could deny it. They were saying if this guy could stay healthy, we're talking about potential Hall of Fame guy here. That's the bar for this guy. So if he's working on some stuff in practice, try your best to keep a cool head, because Becton's the real deal, man. If he can stay healthy, and you saw it, he's slimmed down, he's working his ass off, he's doing all the right things. If he can stay healthy, I don't think we're going to have to worry too much about the left side of our line for a long time, man. That guy's the goods. Now, I just want to see AVT out there. He's got that whatever the pec injury. Now, I added this to my podcast last week. I said they made that name, John, the Smash Bros, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, now look, I've been around a long time. I'm an old fan, and I know I'm kind of tainted in some ways that the fresh youth of today might not be. But hearing that, my first thought, and I mean my first thought was, dude, why are you labeling yourself before you did anything? I think jinx. That's what I think. The next day in practice, AVT pulls up lame with a minor injury, but an injury nonetheless. Do you have the same thoughts where like labeling a unit or a group of players is concerned before they actually do anything? Like kind of reading your own press clippings. Do you have the same issues that I do with that kind of stuff? Or do you think it's much to do of nothing?
I think it's fair to say that. I think the one thing I will say though is that they are, and I've said it a bunch of times, these are really young, like they're legitimately kids. They're a 21-year-old, maybe a 22 or 23-year-old here. And I think the reference, and if I'm wrong here, let me know, but I think it's from the video game Smash Brothers, which is like
it is.
Right. So I think they're just trying to have fun. I think that's what it's really like. The heart of it is really just for fun and for them to build a bond. But I do hear what you're saying, though, in the sense that, like, come on, guys, like you haven't even gone on the field and played a down yet in the NFL side by side yet. Like, don't go ahead and nickname yourselves when you just haven't done anything quite yet. It's just so that's kids being kids, though. They're eager.
That, that's a good point too. It's like, we got to remember, like when I was 23, and I don't know how old you are, John, and Nick came in and said he's 19, but he does remember DeBrickasaw Ferguson. And believe me, I'm not saying that your age means that I'm a better fan or anything, Nick. I want you to know that. I'm just saying because I don't remember Namath. I looked at stuff, but I don't remember times before I was a fan. So that's why I worded it that way. I have the utmost respect for you and your fandom. But anyway, so with when I was 22, 23 years old, dude, if they would have ever put me on camera or like watched me all day, I don't think I could have made it through that, dude. I was a complete and utter bonehead at 22, 23. Some of these guys like Sam Darnold was 20 years old when we drafted him. Are you kidding me?
It's incredible.
I was still walking around with fake IDs in bars. And that was my whole purpose. Like, to get the fake ID that works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I'm with you.
Yeah, it's a good point too, man. We got to remember that sometimes and clearly it's not always that easy. But these guys, they look like huge, big, strong, bearded, men. But the truth is that in age, they're kids. They're young guys, and maybe give them a little bit more rope than we'd like to. So Matthias Simon, what's up? It's my buddy Matt from the old greenhouse days. I've known Matt for just the longest time. Matt and I used to go to we used to run a tailgate together back in, what was that, like the early 2000s, right, Matt? But yeah, so anyway, he says he's learning a new offense and a new blocking scheme. So I guess he's kind of on that side of things as well. And that's what we have to remember too, is that guys, it's not as easy as we like to make it out to be. Like these guys learning a new position or a new scheme, like when a guy's going from right tackle to left tackle or going from guard to center. We think it's easy, but it's not. There's a bunch of different intricacies involved that a lot of us don't really we don't give its proper respect on how difficult it can be. So, Greg Tarr, good point though from Greg Tarr. He says he can't depend on just shoving people around when he's blocking on the run. That's a good point. I think he got away with that a lot in college, and we saw that last year. The good news, though, is from what I understand, that's where some of the difficulties are coming from in practice, where there was the camp report on Jetnation from a guy named KRL. I see you at Jetnation these days, John. I don't know if you're hanging out there consistently or whatever, but there's a camp report there by a guy named KRL. Absolutely, without question, the best Jets training camp reports on the internet with it's not even arguable. So he was talking about Moses and Fant working with Becton on specific technique issues, and they're putting a real high premium on Becton actually developing techniques to kind of dovetail with his brute strength and all that, because it's not going to work the same way in the NFL. I think that's a good point. Have you heard any of that stuff about what Moses and Fant are doing with Mekhi Becton at all? Has any of that leaked into your peripheral?
I've heard a little bit about it. the thing that's funny you're saying KRL. I used to post frequently on Jets Insider, which is basically like a wasteland now. That's not a website anymore.
Not
And I think
destroyed by money.
yeah, and I think a bunch of people that were there went to Jetnation.
Totally.
And I'm just now, dabbling over there myself. But anyway, yeah, I think Becton's biggest thing is he needs to like work on his hands. It's not that he's not, strong. Of course he's strong. It's not that he can't make great contact with his hands. I think it's kind of like what you said. He needs to get his hands on them, and he needs to keep, those hands on those dudes. Like, don't try to just blow them up every time. Try to maintain your block. And I think,
right.
There's a balance there that he needs to find a little bit. And maybe that's part of what, Mike LaFleur is getting at, that he said that he needs, he's going through some things. He's struggling a little bit. And I have no problem with the veterans on the team, Fant and Moses, helping him and teaching him. And I have zero problem with LaFleur, using the media as a way of motivating a player who's young. I bet you, again, I'm not a football player, but if I were, I would think that would light a fire, right? Like if you heard your coach say he's struggling right now,
yeah,
that would bring up some, not anxiety, but it would be like, oh damn, like I need to kick it up a notch.
Yeah.
I need to start doing some things differently. So I feel like Mekhi still needs development, which is fine. And again, I don't really worry too much about him because we've already seen him in the NFL on a much worse coaching staff, and he can ball.
He can ball. Right. The clay is there. Like there's enough clay to make the vase. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. It's like a lot of guys that we've had over the years, we were kind of hoping that a miracle can take place. I don't think that's the case with Mekhi Becton. Like the work ethic is there. The obvious skill is there. Like the brute strength, the size, all the things you can't teach are there. And now we happen to have two vets in the room that Morgan Moses is known for his work ethic and his training regimen and all that. Oh, by the way, the word I was looking for before was drills. That's what I was looking for. Drills. Somebody, I forget who it was. Forgive me. I put the comment up there. But so Morgan Moses is known for being one of those players. And Fant, obviously, we remember got voted team captain last year. So these are two very powerful men, like in leadership roles, that are taking an interest in Mekhi Becton, knowing full well this guy is has the capability of pushing one of them off the roster, but they're still taking that role and helping him to work and develop some techniques that are a little bit different than he's used to. So that's all you want to hear. And I think that's the main positive with this Jets organization, this version of the New York Jets versus the previous versions, let's just say this decade, even including Rex Ryan. There was not a premium placed on development, leadership. Like we saw the Rex Ryan thing where he let Sean Ellis go, Brad Smith, Jericho Cotry, Braylon, all those guys were gone in 1 year. He replaced them with Plaxico Burress, Derek Mason, and guys that were known to be kind of problematic players, a little bit on the punk side of things. Plaxico Burress we picked up from jail, if I remember correctly. Like there wasn't that same premium placed on actual and viable leadership and development. It was not a premium in the McCagnon era. It wasn't really going on during the Idzik era. Obviously, Adam Gase could give a shit less. He sat on the bench by himself drawing pictures while his quarterback was sitting alone on the bench. Like I still can't get over that. But I think that's one of the things that we're seeing. And we have to remember, John, like we're at the beginning of this. This is 3 weeks into this regime. And that's the reality of it. Yes, there's the draft. Yes, there's free agency. But these guys have been on the field together for a couple of weeks. And that's what we're really talking about. And there's a lot of positives to really hang our hat on. And I think that one with Becton being worked on with the other guys, in addition to having a head coach, an offensive line coach like John Benton, I think it might take a minute, but we're going to see the results that we want, man. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. And I think that the offensive line as a whole is going to take time. There's the learning of an offensive scheme, but there's also just building cohesion and chemistry from lineman to lineman to lineman. Like that's not going to happen quick. That takes time. And the best offensive lines are ones that have played together for a period of time for sure, and have played in the scheme for a period of time, who have worked under their coaches, who know what to expect with play calling and all of that stuff. All of that, relates to offensive line play. And you don't even have to have the most talent. I believe that you don't even have to have the most talented offensive line in the NFL, but if you have good players who have played together, you can have a good offensive line out of that group.
Right. The unit itself.
A unit.
How do they say that? It's greater than the sum of its parts or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. Like, you could not have a bunch of all-stars that are a better offensive line that has a couple of all-stars on it because of the cohesion, because of the way that they work together. And that takes time. It really does. Mm-hmm. So we're running out of time here. If you have a question or anything for John or myself, try to get it in now. I want to make comment. Stephen T said, this is BKLYN929 from Twitter. He says he just bought his Carolina game and flight tickets. Also, I don't know what to do with my Jamal jersey, the only jersey I refuse to ever wear again. Well, why don't you just donate it, man? Give it to some kid that doesn't know shit about the Jets. He just picks it up from a store for $3. Do that. That's my suggestion. What do you think you should do with his Jamal jersey?
I think that's perfect. Just donate it. That's what we did. We've donated jerseys before. I don't buy current players anymore. I stick to I got burned, 1 or 2 times, and that was enough for me. I said, just screw this. Wayne Cravett, Joe Klecko, and I'll keep adding to that as I go along. So
they're all so safe, aren't they? It's like this one. This is my Becton jersey, but Jeremy Cravett, who's in the chat right now, sent this to me really unannounced. Just showed up in the mail, so I appreciate it. Other than that, though, I'm damaged goods, man. I don't buy jerseys of live players because, like you said, I've been so burned. The one time I broke protocol was when we switched over to the new logos. And my son he wanted a Sam Darnold. I said, you know what? It was like 50% off that first night. I said, all right, whatever. I bought him a Sam jersey. My line that night was literally, well, at least he'll be here for 10 years or so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 3 years later, it's garbage. But as far as the Carolina game, I'm about 50-50 on that game myself. But now that I'm in Virginia, I can do that. I'm going to be in Virginia for the entirety of, I think the first 2 months of the season I'm in Virginia, which is kind of neat. So I might make it up to MetLife for one, but I might go to that Carolina game. You have any interest in going to that game?
I would love to go to that game. I'm not. We already bought tickets to the week 2 game. My wife and I are going to that one for sure. Home opener. Yeah.
Nice.
I had to be there for that. I feel like that could potentially be a crazy environment. I think the Jets fans are going to show up and show out for that one.
I think so too.
So I wasn't going to miss that opportunity to be a part of that. And then my buddy and I are going week 3 to Denver. We're actually going to fly over there and watch the Jets. Yeah. Yep.
That's going to be good.
I haven't done anything like that in a very long time. I went to a Green Bay game when the Jets played the Packers. It was Pennington and Leon Washington. And we smoked them. We smoked them in that game. So it was a lot of fun.
Was that the one where we blew them out? That one?
Yeah, we toasted them. And
last game of the season it was, right? Wasn't that like the end of the season?
It was close to the end. It was definitely cold.
Yeah.
It wasn't the last. I don't think it was a finale, but it was definitely near the end of the season. I'm looking more towards down the road. I'm interested in the Eagles game. We've never beaten the Eagles in our franchise history in the regular season. That would be a fun one to go to and to win. And then also the Jags game I might be interested in.
Fantastic. Dude, you got to – that's an exciting year. It's not bad.
I don't know if I'll get to all those, but
that's, hey, shooting for the stars, you land on a tree, right? Isn't that what it goes? It says something like that.
I've never heard that one. But that's a good one, though.
Shoot for the stars, you land on a cloud. I don't know. But that sounds like you got some good goals there. I got invited to go to the Denver game when I was going to be out that way, but I can't make that. I turned around and came east instead. So, but yeah, and then I'm actually going to be in Miami. I'll be in Fort Lauderdale, but I'll be down there when the Jets play in Miami. So I think I'm going to make that game. So I might be at week 2, and I might be at week 1 in Carolina. I know that Jets Media, Richie from Jets Media is going to be there. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Steve Sneakers to Boot says he's going. We're going to have a nice crowd down there in Carolina. So I would love to go and kind of set up a little place where we can all meet and have a good time. If you go to opening day, well, you are going to opening day. If I go to opening day, I'll let you know and we can kind of get it together. I'll be hanging out with Jetnation for sure if I go. They have a big tailgate and everything.
That's awesome.
Best wings next to my own I've had was at the Jetnation tailgate. I'm a wing master, bro. Nobody touches me.
Do they sell tickets for those tailgates?
Yeah, well, it's $150 for the entire thing. You get the food and everything with the ticket. It's a lower level ticket, and all the food for $150.
Nice, very good deal.
So yeah, you guys can find. I should mention that too. If you guys are interested in going to the home opener, Jetnation is having a big tailgate. It's $150. You get all the food and a lower level ticket, which is not bad. I think the lower level ticket is about $150 by itself. So the food's kind of coming with it. But yeah, you can go to Jetnation and get in on that. But guys, I think this is going to wrap it up. I'm looking for anything else. I see everybody's just kind of saying stuff. Denver has good green, like E-Rock. He clearly smokes the dubs. That's good. That's good. Greg Tarr, you can join the Mile High Club. Yeah, all that stuff. So we're rocking. It's about that time. So anyway, why don't you let everybody know what you got going on, where they can see you and all that sort of stuff, John?
It's pretty regimented. We're Wednesday podcasts every Wednesday at 8:00, and we do a Sunday post-game show at 8:00 as well. We're going to do that during the regular season, obviously. And that's pretty much it, man. NYJ Today.
Fantastic. As always, it's a true pleasure. You have a great way about you, and I enjoy talking with you about the New York Jets. Guys, I do this every Thursday night. We also do the Tuesday Talking Jets panel over at Jets Talks 24/7's channel with Matt O'Leary and Ryan. And we are also we started it last week, but every Jets game we will be having a live stream on Jetnation's YouTube. It was a blast last week, man, and it's going to be getting better and better. I got a couple that it's looking like I'm going to make it to some Jets fan clubs around the country and do the live stream from there. So that'll be cool. But and then the podcast comes out every Monday. But don't forget about my Patreon. You can find the information on that in the description of this video. It's the first thing there. Go ahead and click on it. But with that said, this is the best chat on the internet. I love you guys. I think you're just the best. We are going to get through this one. Carl Lawson is gone. I think the best comment of the night, where'd it go, is right here. This is Daniel Roberts. He says, make no mistake, no one is more upset about Carl Lawson's injury than Lawson himself. He was looking forward to the season. And I think that's what we got to keep in mind. This sucks for us. We're all disappointed. We have a guy, we just watched it on One Jets Drive. No one's working as hard as this guy. And now he's got to start from square one and come back again. So let's just offer support. And we have a lot of good things to look forward to, man. Keep your head up, and we'll get through it. With that, have a good night, everybody. We will see you some other time. How's that?
Go
sound?
Jets.
Go Jets.
Sounds great. Yep.
And when you have a 3-4 defense and you're drafting defensive tackles, all you're doing is you're drafting space eaters. So a guy like Quinnen Williams in a 3-4, it's like it makes it easy for him to be neutralized. And then his job just becomes eating space, which he does well, but he's just eating space when his real skill set is he's a slippery goon. He slides right, super strong, super fast, and he can get past the guy if there's more to concentrate on for the offensive line, right? And it's not cool. To put those kinds of resources when guys like Fadukasi in the 6th and Kyle Phillips as an undrafted free agent can do a very, very good job. You don't need to use your 3 overall pick on a defensive tackle in a 3-4.